Tim sprinted down the hall. "This sucks! Like, massively sucks!" he yelled out as he ran.
"You don't say. Shut your trap and keep moving,"
Marcus called out from ahead of him.
"Do either of you have a plan to deal with this thing?"
Angela asked from behind Tim.
"Nope,"
Tim responded with no hesitation. Needless to say, this answer left Angela feeling every sort of emotion but satisfied.
"Are you joking?"
Angela screamed out. "Can we argue about this later?" Daniel asked from beside Angela. His voice was still very much monotone, despite the situation. Tim spun around to face the team, running backward with a smile. Giving a small salute, he said, "Aye, aye, Captain. We'll be clear of that thing and safe in no time." Tim jolted, spinning around once again as Marcus snapped out at him.
"Focus on your job, kid."
Tim sighed.
"Ugh. Fine, whatever. Can't even let me put a smile on my face when I run from danger."
He cringed a little as he rushed down the hall. A heavy crash sounded behind the group. That thing was definitely getting closer. He scanned his surroundings as he went. Not much of anything that he could use, not at the moment anyway, which was actually frustrating for him. All these halls in this giant building and not a single item to be found? It was ridiculous. He let out a breath of relief as he finally noticed a table at the end of one of the halls, a few objects atop it, a vase and a couple of photos. Tim halted for a moment, staring at one of the pictures. It was of two individuals, two men, who looked very similar to one another, their green eyes staring happily at the camera. His eyes flickered to the ground for a moment, a memory hitting him all at once, one that he really did miss. His thoughts were suddenly broken as Marcus called back to the group. "All right, people, get moving, around the corner. We're setting up an ambush." "Tim, you're with me. We might be able to slow that damned wolf down." Tim smirked. "Hey, whatever you say, boss man. I'm on it." Quickly, he snatched up the vase, following after Marcus. His thoughts wandered off a little bit again, before quickly he snapped back into focus, attempting, and failing, to halt as the turn came up. His boots slid a few inches across the hardwood floor, before he suddenly felt a tug at the hood of his Parker, yanking him into the next hall. "Hey!" he choked out as the collar pressed against his throat. "Damn it, stay focused if you don't want me doing that," Marcus hissed through gritted teeth. Tim coughed a little as he crouched beside Marcus. "Whatever, man. You could have grabbed me in a not choking me kind of way." Marcus rolled his eyes. "Yeah, sure. I'll start doing that when you actually focus. Now get yourself ready. That thing will be on us any second." Tim crouched low next to Marcus, clutching the vase tight. He wondered how long they'd have to wait for before that wolf would show up. He was kinda itching for some action now. His shoulders felt pretty okay, compared to before anyway, so Tim was pretty positive he'd be able to shred that icy mutt the next time they see it. His head perked up as a new sound reached his ears, something slow and heavy, with the occasional sound of scratching against wood to go along with it. Tim's breath came out steadily, visible like smoke as he waited. He glanced over at Marcus, who crouched, pistol ready, brown eyes narrowed in focus. He then looked behind him to see Daniel and Angela still close by, also low to the ground. Daniel, still stone calm for some reason, and Angela, a bit jittery, but ready to move. Tim's head snapped right back around as a low growl sounded ahead of him. He narrowed his eyes as a thought crossed his mind. Wait a minute. Can't it? He was suddenly caught off as a large shape darted from around the corner, leaping at Marcus and slamming him into the ground. One of the beast's clawed hands pinned Marcus's wrist down as it knelt over him.
damn it!
He cursed out as he lay there. Tim saw that the hand pin was the one clutching the pistol.
Crud!
He hissed under his breath as he rose to his feet. Tim suddenly dashed forward, before in one fluid motion, he raised the vase overhead, slamming it down hard against the werewolf's skull, shattering the object into pieces. The beast stumbled for a moment, shaking its head, clearly rattled. Tim audibly gulped, taking a step back as the wolf's bright blue eyes fixated on him, its lips drawing back in a vicious snarl. He ducked down quickly as it lunged at him, its claws making contact with nothing but air. Tim rose to move once more, but before he could, the wolf struck out at him again, backhanding him, sending him flying across the hall with a loud slap.
Gah!
Tim screamed.
Oh, jeez!
Angela squealed. Shit, Daniel muttered, ducking down as Tim flew past. Tim slid far across the floor, grunting in pain as he slowly came to a halt. He sat up, clutching his skull tight. Then, shaking his head, he looked up to see what was going on. The werewolf was now lunging at Daniel and Angela. Daniel immediately dove for her, tackling her to the ground. The wolf ended up flying over them, digging its claws deep into the wood floor as it skidded to a halt. At once, Tim jumped to his feet, rushing over to assist. As he approached, he pulled out the gold knife he had from his belt, slicing the metal blade across the wolf's side as he passed. It let out a roar of fury as it swiped out at him in retaliation.
Duck down!
Marcus shouted. Tim followed his instructions, no hesitation, darting low to the ground. One shot, then two rang out above him. The beast let out a howl of pain near Tim, letting him know that Marcus indeed hit his mark. Tim turned to look at the creature. It crouched low, one clawed hand pressed against the floor, the other slightly raised. Its icy cold glare fixated on him and then Marcus. Tim's eyes narrowed as he watched the beast, the sound of something dripping reaching his ears. It's clearly injured, but it's not attacking. Not yet, anyway. He watched it curiously as it scanned the group, its lips drawing back in a snarl, before it then turned and darted down the hall.
Hey, get back here, you little shit!
Tim shouted as he rose to his feet. The moment he got up, he felt a tug at his throat. Don't rush it, moron, Marcus scolded, clutching the hood of Tim's Parker once more. Tim choked for a moment, stumbling to a halt, immediately turning on Marcus.
Stop tugging on my hood, jackass!
Marcus rolled his eyes, replying, Well, if I didn't, you would have run off and gotten yourself killed. And I don't need that. Tim crossed his arms.
Fine. I'll chase it down with the rest of you.
He immediately spun on his heel, beginning to move again. Marcus tugged on his hood again. Would you wait a moment? Don't you see what's going on? Tim twirled around, glaring at Marcus.
Didn't I tell you not to tug on my hood?
And no, I don't know what it is. Do tell me, Mr. Almighty One of Knowledge. My God, you are infuriating, Marcus grumbled.
Well, thank you,
Tim responded. Shut up, Marcus continued. I need you to pay attention. This one is clearly not like the first. It retreated instead of fighting, which means it's more careful, calculated. Tim stared at Marcus blankly, shrugging before replying, So? We just hunt it down, same as usual, blow its brains over the wall, just like the last one. He pointed a thumb at his chest. Just leave it to me to play bait. Marcus sighed, sliding his hand down his face. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. It's calculated. Which means it's probably planning, learning, and adapting right now. Daniel cut in suddenly. Marcus glanced over at the teen, nodding with approval. Yes, that's exactly right. He faced him again. Do you understand? Or do I need to spell it out for you?
Yeah. I got it. The mutt's adapting, which means it's gonna change in behavior or whatever.
Tim replied casually with a dismissive wave of his gloved hand. Angela spoke up.
I actually agree with Marcus on this one. Maybe we should stay away from it for a while. At least until we have a plan set.
Tim opened his mouth for a reply, but Marcus immediately cut him off. That's exactly what we're going to do. It's most likely planning some kind of ambush. I'm positive of that. And I'd like to avoid getting any injuries due to reckless behavior. He narrowed his eyes at Tim, especially you in particular. Tim placed a hand on his chest in mock offense.
Me? Oh, please. I handled myself just fine in the forest, thank you very much.
Marcus holstered his pistol, turning away from Tim. You know very well what I mean by that, he said as he began walking. Tim smiled a little as he followed after him.
I'm pretty sure I'll be fine. I lost some blood from that first one, and, well, here we are, still alive and well.
Did any of that blood of yours get in that thing's mouth? Marcus asked immediately. Tim turned his eyes away, silent, for once, as he walked. Marcus halted, immediately turning around to face him. Did any of your blood get in its mouth? He repeated. Tim raised his hands innocently.
I don't know, I'll be honest, but I doubt it. I mean, we'd have noticed by now, surely.
Marcus stared at him for a moment, then replied, Then let's keep it that way. I don't need anything else getting infected by that. I'm not in the mood to deal with it. He turned back around and continued walking. Now let's get moving. I have no idea where it's hiding this time. Tim shrugged, following after Marcus. Quickly, he checked behind him to make sure that Daniel and Angela were still there, which they were. His thoughts whirled. Thinking about it for a moment, he began to realize that it kind of was risky for him to get injured. Not just because of that risk of death, but because of what he is.